people's names pronounced in a way that they look at you like, is that me or not? The chief guests, Dr. Vimal Shah, Director, DBC Academic Affairs, Professor Roman Sudiambo, my brother and friend, Mayo Chien, who is the CEO of NYC, distinguished guests, participants, and the president. You know, when you're speaking and somebody has a title president, you have to mention it in your speech. So the president, students' president, Asman, Niaje, so it gives me great pleasure to have been invited to come and speak here. Great pleasure because first and foremost, I still moonlight as a young person, even though I've reached that constitutional limit which says under 35. And I'll speak about that in a second. But I'm still youthful at heart, and when you're in a room full of youthful passion, it rubs off. So thank you for inviting me to partake of that youthfulness in this particular room. Let me detour a little bit. I did not have prepared speeches, but I had bullet points. But I'm detouring from my bullet points. Because when the president, student's president came up here and spoke, I was very inspired. I went to university in the mid-90s when I did my first undergraduate degree. As a very good know who I am. I have gone back several times. But the first time I went, the caliber of student leaders was not what we see here today. And the type of things when they got on stage, they talked about was very different. There was a very common word which we all know, student power. And everybody will respond, power. And then they will mumble a couple of things that you couldn't probably decipher. And everybody will clap and you're like, why are we clapping? But when Asman came here and he spoke, I was very impressed the way he was talking about a technology center, and that is how you want us to engage, because that truly is the type of leadership that this country wants. That there's a lot of things that we need to be focused on to get right as a country. And if we confuse ourselves by some of these momentary passions and politics and everything, we might not be able to get right. So I want to thank you very much. Later on, I actually went to USIU, Dr. Vimal Shah. I was actually a valedictorian, and I read a speech before you. You don't remember that. It was a pretty good one too. But when I went there, I was very impressed by student leadership. It was very different, but it was about service. It was about what can we as student leadership do to you as a student community to make your life better when you're in this particular place. And I contrasted that. I've gone to Nairobi University, I've gone to Kenyatta University, with some of the things we're doing in those particular universities, and it's a world of a difference. So I want to thank you very much because it's leading by example that is going to show us where we go as a country. So the first thing I reflect on every time I'm invited to speak to a distinguished group like this is the fact that I'm no longer youth, as defined by the Constitution of Kenya. And I think about those years that I was young, and they're not many years back. I remember sitting with a group of people and I was telling Ray this story. Sometime in the late 90s, we've been brought together by the German, one of the German organizations, GTZ, Gesellschaft für Technische Zusammenarbeit, and they were asking us to help draft a national youth policy. So you can think about how much we struggled to try and put that in place, and by the time I was reaching 35, it wasn't there. Or it was just getting there. Similarly, I worked a lot with the Honorable Senator Johnson Sakaja on his bill called AGPO. And I will speak about it later on, and I know you will discuss it a lot. But again, by the time it was ready, I was no longer youth. The lesson for me is, you are young today, tomorrow you are not. And so you have this narrow window of opportunity to determine what you want to do as a young person and what impact you want to leave in this country. I like the fact that Mukami is asking us to write very critical thing on the first window. What are the three things that disturb you the most? On the second one, what are you doing about it? There was a very young, youthful, visionary American president who once asked, and that became a very famous quote, ask not what America can do for you, ask instead what you can do for America. So that's a challenge we have today, that we as young people we have this short space of time to make an impact in a country that has these many issues and challenges, which are common to every nation, by the way. And so let me offer you that one of my thoughts about what you as young people can do is to grapple with this question of national identity, cohesion, and unity in our country. Because that's something that is troubling us. However you want to frame it, whether you frame it as a question of ethnicity, whether you frame it as a question of classes, and poor and rich, we have something that we all need to work on as Kenyans. And particularly because the world has changed. When I was doing my undergraduate the first time, we didn't have cell phones. I remember when I first saw a cell phone, it was put in the middle of the table and we all gathered around and were looking at it. Because we were so wowed by this one guy from UNDP who had a cell phone. But you all have Twitter now, you all have Facebook, and you know how powerful these things can be in terms of, and probably not even in unhelpful manners. And when you talk about this question of national cohesion, please, 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 one of the things I think you can do is to change how those spaces are used to build this country. So I really want to challenge you on that particular one. The second issue I want to challenge you on is that, and we were talking about this, it's amazing when you get people together in a room, all of them sort of were going to speak about the same thing, and you get uncomfortable. Why are we discussing this? Because then what will I see when I get on stage? But one of the things we are discussing is what is contained in Article 10 of our Constitution. National values, ethos. On what basis do we want as individuals to conduct ourselves as we relate with each other in our communities, in our families, and as a nation? And that sort of will give me the transition to some of the specific things that I wanted to say, given your place and time in history. But when I look around, there are a lot of issues when we talk about integrity, ethics, diligence, hard work, patience. So going beyond Article 10 as it is written in the Constitution, just the good old principles and values that make people work, be good people, and be successful in life. And I have had the opportunity to work with young people, to employ young people as interns, and I can tell you for a fact, the ones that excel on those particular issues are the ones who make it, are the ones who get promoted, are the ones who get retained. We previously had, and I'm trying to get us back there, a very good retention. Out of every 4 or 5 interns we recruited, 4 will go on to be employed with us. Maybe it was something about recruitment and training, but also it was about those individuals and what they were able to demonstrate in terms of hard work, in terms of ethics, and so on and so forth. My old high school director, Dr. Geoffrey Griffin, told us that if you are given a cup to wash it better than anybody else has ever washed it. And so that's a challenge I leave to you as a young person, that there are a world of opportunities that are available to you now that were not available to previous generations of young people. The government has a formal internship program. You should be demanding how you can take part in it. You should be demanding how that can be to your benefit. There is a provision in law that says 30% of all government contracts goes to young people, persons with disabilities, women. How do you take advantage of that? There is all this technological development, incubators, labs, and so on and so forth. So a different world from when I was a young person. And the only question I put to you is, how will you yourself harness that? Let me finish by saying that sometimes when you're young, and when I was in university, and particularly 2 or 3 years after I left university, life seems very difficult, and you don't know whether you will make ends meet, you don't know whether you will succeed. But I'm here to tell you that it's possible if you keep your vision, it's possible if you apply yourself to what all the speakers here are going to be talking about. I was personally born in the slums of Kibra. I lived there for a greater extent of my life. I actually left the slums after I finished undergraduate, my first undergraduate, my elder brother would. And you know, there's a common story about how you leave Kibra, you go to Eastlands, and then you go to the other places. And when I look at the agenda, it's amazing that I see quite a number of my friends who we traveled with the same journey. Ronald Osumba, who is there, is somebody I know from my youth, and we went to the same schools. I've seen another brother called Dan Agima, And so what I want to say is I'm encouraging you that regardless of what situation you are today, whatever you're facing, you can cut that path, you can make it what you want it to be. Let me finish by what Malcolm Gladwell says. He says, Malcolm Gladwell is a very famous writer. One of the books I recommend you read that he wrote is called The Outliers. And in it he comes up with something he calls the 10,000 hour rule. He says to be good in anything, whether it's music, whether it's arts, whether it's sports, invest 10,000 hours of your time. Each day has 24 hours. Please calculate how many days you need to get to the 10,000 hours. But with practice, with keeping diligent, and with applying yourself national values and ethos, I'm very sure you can make it. So thank you very much for inviting me. Mukami, sorry I did not take 2-3 minutes, but I was cheated that I was going to be the chief guest. I'm just kidding. My brother really cheated. So I thought I had things to say because I'm very proximate to these age groups. Have a good and wonderful workshop and discussions in anything that we can do as a National Democratic Institute through your leadership, the faculty here, and through Ray and others. We will be happy to do it. God bless you.
Let's clap for him. When wisdom begins